Hello, my wonderful tea bags. That is the name I'm going for you listeners, and I am sticking with it. I like it. And welcome back to episode 35 of the Comedian's Tea Party, taking a little break over Christmas. And, well, to be honest, there's a lot more going on than just Christmas. So some of you may or may not know at this point that I got married on Christmas Eve. So took a little bit of time off to do that. I had to sneak away and do that under the radar, as it were, but very exciting. Very happy about that. Obviously, I talk about my wife during the episode with Jon Long. So, which is who is on, by the way. We have Jon Long, who, if you don't know who he is, look him up, because he is incredible. He's a very, very funny man. We started around the same time, and he gave me some incredible advice really early on. He's one of the friendly faces that I first met. So yeah, it's just a great guy. He's a very funny comedian, does some incredible songs, and well, is an incredible stand-up outside of the songs, but the songs in themselves are incredible and worth checking out. So go and look him up on his social medias. He will plug those at the end. Anyway, back to the break. So yeah, obviously, I started a new job, and got busy with that. Got married, got a kitten. It's very exciting. That is very time consuming. That is part of why it's taken me so long to edit this episode, because she keeps standing on the keyboard and it is absolutely adorable, but my word, does it add extra time. But she's lovely, so it's okay, I think. It's fine. It's good. It's good. She's amazing. As is my wife. It's been a hell of a month. So welcome back. I hope you've all been well. I hope you all had a good festive period and you're all not too sad during this, I don't know, what is it, the 7th lockdown now? So the episode, it is a really lovely one. It's a really, really good chat. We have loads of fun. It gets a bit serious at the end, but it's still a very good chat, I think. We talk about various sort of dark subjects, but it's genuinely a really good chat, and I think you'll enjoy it. I will say straight off the bat, there is some bad language in the episode, so I hope you're okay with that, and if you're not, listen anyway and just pretend we didn't swear. You join us, as I have some camera issues, as is becoming a classic Deaves mistake. Something goes wrong with my computer. I got a new computer, so that's great, and it works much better, and it's a lot easier to do everything on. But I just had to. There was some teething troubles, as there are with all new things. So we got there, but about halfway through the episode, so the problem with the camera was that it kept going black. And I ended up finding out what it was, and I fixed it. It's fine. We got into it, and it's okay. However, halfway through the episode, the lights go out, and you will hear me address that, and it's quite a funny moment. But just to let you know that is coming up, in case you're wondering what the conversation was about. Talk a bit about lockdown waffle, which leads to a story about waffling, which leads to us waffling because we couldn't remember what the conversation was about in the first place. So it's about waffle. That's what it was. It was all waffle. We talked briefly about my mum as a pin-up, which is very disturbing. Never happened, and I hope it doesn't. I love her. I love my mum. She's a lovely woman, but I don't want to see her as a pin-up. That would be weird. There is a bit of noise at the end, and that is just my wife coming downstairs at the end of the day, closing the curtains. But it's not a lot of noise, so hopefully not too distracting. Anyway, it's a really lovely episode. I hope you enjoy it. I'll give you some plugs at the end for social media and all the like. However, I will say now, if you want to help this podcast continue running, because obviously during lockdown, I've lost a lot of my work. So if you can help, I've got a Ko-fi page set up. So it's just ko-fi, kofi.com/sideeves. Just go over there, and if you can donate any money, that'd be amazing, because it'd help me keep this running. And if I get enough money, then it will help me, pass on the editing to someone else, and then I can concentrate on booking bigger and better guests. Speaking of, I've got some very big guests lined up, so hopefully that'll all be getting confirmed soon, and then I'll be able to let you know who they are. But keep an eye on the Facebook page, and I'll keep you up to date on there. In the meantime, enjoy the episode. I'll see you at the end.
Hey, did that work?
Yes, we're all good. We're rocking. Apparently, there's an issue with these cameras, it turns out, and
Okay.
I had to read through a forum to find a solution. I've done it. I've bloody nailed it.
Yeah, you look good.
Oh, thank you very much. You look wonderful, as I previously stated.
I needed to hear it again. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you can never tire of hearing that, can you?
No, not really. Not on a lockdown day.
No, absolutely. Cool. Right, and that is still recording. I'm just checking that because, like, even with my last laptop, the sound, like, I had some issues with Cubase, and I generally sorted it out. But occasionally, like, I recorded with. I'm sure my listeners are bored of me saying this now, but I recorded with Matthew Crosby and forgot to hit. Yeah, I forgot to. Well, no, I didn't forget to hit record. I didn't set it up right. So.
You're joking.
Yeah.
How far into the interview did you?
About 25 minutes.
Okay, could be worse.
Yeah. He was very kind as well. We ended up talking for well over 2 hours in total. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have like a backup mic? You could. So there's an initial 25 minutes, just a bit worse sounding.
No, it was just he ended up recording, but like the thing is, he offered to record his end right from the off, and I was like, oh no, it's fine.
Oh shit!
I do this all the time. It's perfectly all right. And it just turned out that one recording, because I'd gone to a studio and recorded some drums. I'd set it up differently, and I hadn't set it back the way it should have been. So
right.
Yeah.
So it thought you were a snare or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll happen. Oh well, I'm glad you caught the last hour and 3/4 of it though.
Yeah, it's really good chat actually.
That was very fun.
So how are you, man?
Very good, thank you. I'm very good. I remember Matt Crosby went. I met him only once, and it was when probably at a gig that we used to do together. Remember that Liverpool Street gig, the Dirty Dicks one?
Oh yeah.
And he just walked past and he saw the comedy sign. He stopped and went, "What's this, by the way?" And we were all like fangirling.
Yeah.
And, oh, you should come and. We tried to convince him to come and do 5 minutes. He's like, "No, you're all right." Very politely. He was so sweet.
He's a really lovely man, yeah.
And we were probably only like a year or two in, and we were just like, "Oh."
Yeah.
But he was very nice to us, so I can imagine he would be a good guest. But I'm good, mate. How are you? You got married?
Yeah, I did get married. Yeah, you're the first. You're the first with me as a Mister.
Really?
Previously,
God, I feel very honoured.
Yeah.
I don't know. When was the marriage? I thought it was the marriage? Wedding. That's the word I was looking for. When was the marriage?
It's all relevant. Christmas Eve.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
How many people were in attendance?
Just us.
I know. Yeah.
And so there was us, the registrar, and then we had to have 2 witnesses, one of whom was the photographer, who he may listen to this. I don't know, but it wasn't good. The photos were bad, but the wedding itself was absolutely lovely.
Wedding photos are seldom good, though, are they? Most people complain about the wedding photos being shit. As far as I don't know that many people got married, but almost all of them complain about the wedding photos afterwards.
Yeah.
Usually because they hire someone who is like a cousin or a family friend who has like quit their job and decided to follow their passion of photography. But hasn't yet discovered they have no natural aptitude for it. So it's got a great website and knows how to do the watermarks, but that's about it.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. The session ended when he asked how my wife feels about being lifted, and she was like, "No, no, not for me."
Now, here's a question, and let me finish. How do you feel? That's an interesting question. Well, good. I'm glad that you were surrounded by loved ones like this stranger photographer man and someone else. But did you Zoom it or anything?
No, we took some selfies when we got back to the hotel and sent those on, which was just as good. It was very brief. It was sorry, I'm just going to take my tea bag out of my tea.
Tea admin in this podcast, I'm sure, takes priority.
Oh, absolutely.
Have we started, by the way?
Oh yeah. This is all staying in.
Is this oh bloody hell? Even my talking shit about wedding photographers.
Yeah, I'm going to edit the first bit so that all the nightmares are in as well.
Oh right, I thought you were just getting levels. I would have been more interesting if I'd known.
No.
At least 10% more interesting.
That's the beauty of this is you never know quite when the conversation has started.
It's like a guerrilla thing, yeah.
Sneak
up on you. What's your wife's name? I don't think I've met her, have
I? Well, yeah, no, haven't met her. No, her name is, but there's basically she doesn't like her name being sort of put out publicly, so I'll bleep out her name so you can hear it. It's Deaves now.
You have to bleep out a bunch of times now. You said it like 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm going to just keep peppering in the interview. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. People do that. Yeah. As soon as I let them know I should stop telling everyone, really. But
Well, I won't say her name. I'll just say, Mrs. Deaves, I guess. So
yeah,
she did. She took your name.
yeah, it's a good name. So solid. It's a weird name. It's
Is it
rare.
weird? It's quite a good name.
Yeah, it's
Deaves.
yeah, it gets misspelt and mispronounced a lot.
It sounds like a way that a sort of a modern young person would say devious in kind of their language.
Yeah,
he's a bit Deaves. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think take it, run with that. It's useless, but I like it though. It's not weird. I suppose you're the only Deaves I've ever met.
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. There's not many of us. I'm the only. I say that I'm the only Sir Deaves. Obviously, my name is Simon, but there's I think there's a scientist called Simon Deaves, and there's a woman in Canada who I think her name is Jackie Simon Deaves.
Okay.
Which is odd because
Simon Deaves. Yeah. Well, okay. So it was like a last name. She got married to a guy called something Deaves, and her name was Jack Simon.
Maybe. Oh, that never occurred to me. I always just assumed it was because it's not hyphenated or anything. I always just assumed it was a middle name.
Yeah. Are they usually hyphenated, aren't they? If it's double last name.
Yeah, I think so. My mum's name is Jackie Deaves, though, so it's really weird.
Jackie Deaves is particularly good for some reason. Yeah. Jackie Deaves. Jackie Deaves sounds like a pin-up from the 70s. Was she? I don't know.
Oh God, no. I hope not.
Yeah.
No. I love my mum, but I wouldn't like to see photos of her looking raunchy, as it were.
No. My mum, we used to go on holiday every year with two friends, and there was one year they all saved up and they went to, where did they go? Las Vegas, I think it was, or somewhere. And it was in one of the hotel lobbies or whatever. Las Vegas, very glitz and glamour, all these different things you can do. One of the sort of things you could do was get your photo taken, and they'll make you look like all these. They Photoshop you and make you look like sort of a Baywatch, or I don't know what it was. But it was the three of them, and they looked like they were like the Dixie Chicks or something, but with very revealing sort of skimpy outfits.
Sure.
But they looked quite convincing, their faces. And she pinned it up on our corkboard at home. And all my friends would come by and be like, "Oh, your mum's pretty." And I'd go, "It's not her." She's full. And then they behave really differently around her. And they're like, "Oh, Mrs. Long," and she loved it. And I was like, "It's not her."
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can understand why you wouldn't want that. It's a burden.
Yeah. It's not something you want to crop up in your mind.
I know, and that was a Photoshop one. Imagine if they were real.
Oh God. Yeah. That'd be upsetting.
Would. Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, like you said, when you're going to start recording, you're going to let me know, right?
Sure. Yeah. I started recording 10 minutes ago, so.
Fuck.
Yeah. This you already asked me that. This whole thing's staying in.
I know. I'm only kidding. That was me trying to do a callback.
Oh,
I did
see.
It dryly.
It's very funny.
Yeah, it turns out callbacks you can't just refer to something that happened a little while ago. There has to also be some element of humour to it. I've never quite gotten the hang of this comedy bullshit.
It doesn't matter. It's all over.
Right. But yeah. Well, congratulations anyway. My main point. Congratulations on the old wedding there.
Yeah. Have you been gigging, by the way? Talking about comedy being over.
I did a little bit over Christmas and did a few sort of like work do's weirdly.
Oh yeah.
Zoom and stuff like that and Teams. Yeah, so but strangely fun, a lot of those, because I hadn't been enjoying online gigs really.
Yeah.
So I took them all a bit reluctantly, but yeah, they were quite fun actually.
Yeah.
Quite good.
I didn't do my first one until October, something like that.
Oh really? And, you were. I suppose it's a bit different. I do songs, so it feels slightly different. Like I think like if you're a one-liner or short form jokes, it feels a bit weird doing it to the voice, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well. I don't know. I feel like that's sort of even easier, maybe, like one-liners and that sort of thing, because you can say it and it's gone, and then you move on to the next one. Whereas I might do a 3-minute story, and if if you haven't got the energy or the feedback of, and you're about 30 seconds in, you're thinking to people, is anyone listening? It's really off-putting.
It would throw you off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends. Sometimes they do have feedback, and sometimes they have you can see them.
Yeah, this one had a real audience. It was lovely.
Which one was it?
It was for Rock the Attic.
Okay.
Do you know that? A gig in Banbury. No. And he's got a few. A guy called Ryan Mould. Lovely guy. Okay. And really nice gig.
Lovely. So they had them, and could you hear them?
Yes.
So it was all right. So it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
No, it was really lovely, actually. It was very enjoyable. I can see how they might be less enjoyable. Like really early on in the first lockdown, I had Amy Matthews on, and she was doing the Stand one, and someone tweeted her afterwards. Like, I don't think they would have had a live audience for that. They may have, but someone tweeted her afterwards and said something like, "If I'd paid for that and been to see it on a weekend, then I'd want my money back." And their point was like, "Yeah, but if I'd done this, like over a webcam at a weekend club, I wouldn't get booked again." Like that.
Yeah,
it's a completely different scenario.
If I'd bought this for a car, I'd take that car back. It's not. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's because people expect the early ones were really shocking.
Yeah.
So even people like The Stand, whatever, no one had got the hang of it. No one had worked out. I think everyone tried to replicate a comedy night.
Yeah.
And realised that doesn't work. I had one person that said, "Can you record a half-hour set in advance? And record it like you're doing it in a club. Stand somewhere. Feel free to use a mic stand. All this stuff. It was awful." And then they just played two people doing half an hour back to back.
Oh wow!
It was just the worst.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah. I'm a whore for the money.
You need the money.
The drastically undervalued money. It was not nearly enough for how much of my soul it took with it.
No. But, I actually, I'd suggest it could be worth listening, especially for you doing musical comedy. David O'Doherty recorded his tour that he would have been doing.
Is that in his car?
Yeah, during the first lockdown. Yeah, he recorded it in his car outside his parents' house at like midnight. So he just realised it was the time to do it, and it was great.
I know, it was brilliant, and I think that's the key: is that you've kind of got to embrace the situation in some way. You're not going to replicate whatever. So he's always been quite good at that. Like his first his first album was recorded in his like studio flat in Dublin.
Yeah. Because it's really hard to come by that album.
It's really hard to come by, but what is on YouTube is a series.
Yes, very good. The Adventures of David O'Doherty or something like that.
Yeah. So the episode that covers the filming of it or the recording of it is quite easy to find. So you can watch the making of. It's actually, like you said, really hard to find the thing itself. Yeah. I'm desperate to have a physical copy of it. So.
Yeah, I emailed him about it actually, and he did not get back to me. But
okay, good. I got excited. Thanks for dashing my hopes.
Well, I was supposed to be seeing him in October in Southend. Like he was performing, I mean, and I was trying to secure him. Like while he was in this area, I was trying to say to him, "Come on my podcast." And during that, I would have said to him, "Hook us up. I really want a copy of that album."
Well, it's I think he was saying you could do. Oh, well, that's just made me remember that tours used to be a thing. Oh. I went to see him, not my last birthday, but the birthday before. I went to go and see his tour show on my birthday as my sort of birthday treat, because I just love him. So good. My girlfriend came along, and how interesting is this? I've heard a lot of people go, "Oh, I like his songs, but not his stand-up." My girlfriend loved his stand-up, but didn't like his songs.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? She said I found him hilarious, his stand-up. Didn't like the songs.
Yeah. Because I know quite a few people that say, "Oh yeah, I like his songs, but his stand-up sort of leaves something to be desired." Yes. But I would say certainly in recent years that his stand-up has also got better, as have his songs. His songwriting's improved with it, because on not the album that he's just done, but the last one that he recorded in front of a live audience, like the songwriting on that, the chord progressions and that sort of thing were much more advanced than anything it's been doing in the past. And he's an incredible musician, but it's just nice to see him sort of incorporate that.
Yeah, because he's got that background, isn't he? His dad was a jazz musician or whatever, and I think he sometimes had hidden that, because I think with musical comedy, you don't want to be too show off your musicality.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Tim Minchin and you can really show off. But for the most part, it doesn't bode. Whenever you see someone actually trying to sing with musical, it doesn't quite work. Do you know what I mean? It's always better when it's a bit shit, weirdly. So he's been hiding his light under a bushel for a few years, and that's probably now is like, do you know what? Sod it. I'm going to put in some complicated chord progressions. But he is brilliant. He was one of my big influences.
Yeah, same. But I don't do musical comedy, but like nevertheless, like his stand-up was a big influence.
But you're a musician and a comedian, right? So
yeah, that's true.
Like James Acaster's, there's quite a few comedians that maybe haven't combined the two, but have got a sort of foot in each camp, haven't they?
Yeah. People keep saying to me, like, why don't you, because I'm primarily a drummer, people keep saying to me, why don't you try and do something with drums? And I'm like, what though? I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. Like I did a musical comedy course at Angel.
Oh, okay.
And it was in the between lockdowns, so it was a bit sparse and socially distanced. You know, everyone was in a different corner. But one of the people who was on it, this woman Lizzie, her sort of persona on stage is as someone who's lived her whole life being a shy, retiring, quiet, let the men do their thing woman, and she's decided, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to be the loudest person in the room.
Yeah.
And so she
is that her persona or her actually? Well,
it's definitely a part of her turned up. She's actually probably has gotten over that shy retiredness, but she plays up to the fact but she definitely. It's interesting actually because she's very shy and she gets very. A lot of stage fright, but I only know that because she's told me that. Because on stage she looks very controlled. She's an ex-teacher, so she's got that facade of confidence. But that's her whole persona. Is I'm not going to do this anymore, but it is a part of her. And she goes, so I got this drum, and so she brings out this drum on stage, and she's like, so I'm the loudest one in the room. And she does a few bits with it, like she did Guess That Tune, which is quite half the drum and things like that.
That's funny.
And she did a few bits with it, and it was interesting actually, just having a rhythm. And but that was the big discussion we were having: is how do you incorporate drums? Not that many people have done it. A few people have had beats underneath things.
Yeah.
A lot of the early sort of like Lenny Bruce and all of those jazz comedians used to do that. And
Mitch Hedberg did a great one.
Yeah, exactly. I think but it'd be interesting.
There's is it Mo Gilligan he just had a special on Netflix, and that's like with a live band. That's brilliant.
Oh, has he got one with a live band? I didn't see that. Mo Gilligan has certainly done a few musical bits. I've seen him because he did when I used to gig with him before he took off in Angel. He used to do the nursery rhymes, but his Rasta Dad version of the nursery rhymes.
Yeah, and
that was always a musical bit. So I can imagine he would. He does lots of music. He's very funny. He does a lot of bits where he just says, and he used to just go, hey, he just had to indicate to the sound man, hey, could you play that track, please? But it'd be much nicer.
Yeah, it's worth checking out if you've not seen it yet, which evidently you have not.
I definitely will.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's very good. Because I've seen a few people do that with like live bands, and it's not quite sort of gelled, but he's obviously worked with them sort of a great deal and like got it all worked out. It's just, it's real nice.
I love that. I love the mixture. I love when people try their hardest to put together a show. They don't care about what camp it's in. It's just like, let's put together the best thing.
Because that's often the thing. That's something that I've considered in the past as well, where it comes to writing shows, is you sort of you get in that mindset, like, I'll be trying to write material that will work in clubs because that's generally where you're going to make your money, but it's not necessarily what you want in a show. You want a show to be a show, like a whole a piece, not just sort of club set bits cobbled together. Yeah, so I find that interesting to go, right, I'm doing a show, here's the concept, bam.
Yeah, to try and do the two entirely separate from each other. I think a lot of people try and straddle both, and then like you said, it's hard to get a balance. But I think if you can afford to, I suppose a lot of people used to be able to do that once you've been going a little while. I suppose you would have this Club 20 that you set in stone a little bit, that was maybe evolving separately.
Yeah,
but you don't have to work so much on. Whereas me and you, we're at the development stage, so we're constantly going, oh, I'm better than that material now. I need to constantly.
Yeah.
Once you get into a stage where you're like, okay, that's my corporate 20 that I'm going to sit back on for a bit. I can concentrate on the show and relax and sort of put it to one side.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to just, this is going to be my hour to start from scratch. Even though it should be a different thing. But the people that do it the best are people who just. What happens is you look at people like, how did they do that? And it turns out, they've got rich parents and they didn't have to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence, that fact. It's because to have that level of creative license, we've all got to think like you just did. We've all got to think, we've got to be a viable commercial entity as well at the same time.
Yeah.
If we want to make this our job, because I'm exhausted holding down job and doing this.
Yeah. So I got made redundant from my day job during the first lockdown.
And, sorry to hear that, mate.
That's all right. It's it's a bit shit, but it's sort of it's working out to some extent. But I've just got a part-time job at Screwfix,
nice,
which is pretty good. Like it's tied me over. It's a nice job, nice people, and all that. But it's still quite sort of time-consuming, even though it's only part-time hours. But it's exhausting as well. So like I'm still trying to do other stuff, and my creativity has certainly gone down. But I need to pay the mortgage, so.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I find it really annoying when those people who didn't need to have those concerns and could just concentrate on their Edinburgh show in a flat that their dad bought them, making snipey comments about how they're the real art or whatever, and real comedians are so passé, and it really bugs me.
Yeah, there's also. I don't want to get into the sort of politics of it because this is a fun podcast. But when you see, and like, there's a lot of people talking about it in a minute on social media and that sort of thing, where people are just talking about the sort of the Oxbridge educated gang who are dominating comedy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not funny, because they are. They're absolutely funny and they deserve to be recognised as such. But also they have got that advantage because they've been sort of elevated there by the money that's sort of backs them.
Yeah.
Enough.
I think so. I think it seems to be, though, that is. I complain about it because when I first started, comedy was rife with that kind of person, very privileged and doing very well for himself and being very up their own arse and lots of hard-working working class comedians, but not getting recognised. It just seemed to be. I'm not calling myself one of those people, by the way, but from an outsider looking it's sort of in the middle. It's interesting seeing that it just seems to be starting to redress the balance a bit, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's looking good for the future because it should be, because should be the most meritocracy, because you don't need any, like a band, you might need some money behind you.
Yeah.
If you don't need anything for stand up. It is just you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking anyone.
You just need the time to be able to do it. That's
the time to do it, and actually that's getting harder in London, isn't it? Now that you have to be like bringers and stuff, and actually I suppose now it doesn't matter. Who knows what will be left when the dust settles after this?
Hasn't risen as an issue in quite a long time, so
no, I would happily do a bringer now.
Yeah, I would happily consider it.
I wouldn't. I thought about it for 3 seconds and immediately retracted that.
Yeah, that's why I stuck with consider it. I wouldn't do it, but I'd consider it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to pour more tea.
Yeah, go on. What have you got? Tell me about the tea.
I've got, because
You described yourself as a basic bitch English breakfast lover.
Yeah, I never drank tea growing up, and my mum always drank coffee, and I hated the smell of it, and just tea wasn't around. And I went to university, I thought, I'll go try this tea. And I remember trying it and not liking it. And I didn't like it for ages until this guy who was in my halls made me this kind of, I guess it's like an Indian tea, but he made it on the sort of mini saucepan almost. It was so milky and creamy and sugary. And I was like, oh, right, okay, that's what I like. Because I've got such basic taste. I love things milky and sugary and sweet. So I like very, very sweet tea. And I'm trying to wean myself off that. But what I really like is builder's tea with lots of milk, very, very strong. Yeah. 2 sugars. I'm coming down to 1, but 2 sugars ideally. So this is slightly fancier than I would ever go for, but it is English breakfast. But this is the one it was. It's basically a loose leaf. So I'm trying to go loose leaf to cut down on waste with the old tea bags. And so this is something that we got over Christmas. But this is the first time I'm trying it. It's fucking lovely, actually.
Is it nice?
It is very nice.
Can you tell the difference between that and like what was your normal
Tetleys?
Tetleys. Yeah,
I can actually, and I think that's probably a sign that maybe now I'm in my 30s, my palate's ever so slightly, because I wouldn't have been able to before, I'm sure. But it does have. I think this has got a little something in it. It feels a bit. There's another flavour in there that I'm not good enough at detecting flavours to work out what it is. But I can tell it's fancy, and I don't often like fancy stuff because I just think, oh fuck off, just give me Tetleys. But this is all right. I like it. Yeah. What are you drinking?
I am drinking, so because I'm sort of known amongst my friends for loving tea.
Yes.
Now, normally I get sent tea from sort of various companies. That sounds like a brag. I suppose it is really. But in this particular scenario, because I'm running out of the tea that other companies have sent me, my friend bought me a box of Whittard's tea.
Lovely.
Which is just loads of different flavours in there. And I'm currently drinking an English Rose, which is a black tea with flavouring.
With rose flavourings?
Well, yeah, it's got like, I suppose, rose petals in it.
I quite like rose as a flavour.
Yeah, it's nice. This is delicious, actually.
I like Turkish Delight. So.
Oh, I don't like Turkish Delight.
And it often comes in rose. Do you know what?
Well, I say that. I've not eaten it since I was in my youth. So maybe I like it now.
Maybe, but I mean that's when you were in your key demographic to like it. To be fair, it's not like olives. It's not something that you need to. It's pretty kid friendly.
Yeah. I've still not built up to olives actually.
Have you not? Well, there's something for retirement, isn't it? You're going to hold some things back.
Absolutely. Yeah. 65, I'll try olives and be livid that I didn't try them sooner.
Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. I realised I needed to buy the next console up to play it, and I heard all this stuff about it, and I heard how good it was. But I thought, I'm just going to lose my life to that, and I've got gigs to do, so I'm not going to buy that. Yeah. I held off for years and years and years, and then lockdown happened, and I treated myself to a second-hand console, which is now quite cheap, and the game, and it feels all the better for having held off 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's my olives.
Yeah. All the correct patches have come out by now, and it's all running smooth.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, nice. This is described as, just to read the description because it's odd, a village fete tea for scones and strawberry jam with delicate flavours of glorious rose.
Oh my god, a fete. I mean,
yeah, village fete. I like that. It's real specific.
It's so specific. Quintessentially, I suppose that taste and flavour is evocative, and it makes you think of like little snapshots of memories and things. But fete, I don't know. I wasn't drinking tea at fete, really. I guess. I suppose that's not. No. I'm not the key demographic for that tea. I don't think.
The tea demographic, I like that. That is.
Yeah, that's fete goers tea.
Yeah, the tea demographic.
Should we try and guess who this is aimed at by its? This is described as quintessentially hearty British blend. I think this is for Brexiteers. It keeps going on about how locally sourced and British it is.
Oh yeah, and
it talks about flourishing in the rich soil of humidity of northeast India and aromatic South Indian Welbeck tea. It doesn't say
does it say tea means tea at the end?
It doesn't say tea means tea. It talks about India briefly, and it doesn't mention that back when good old Blighty was in charge of the government. It seems to be restrained, but no, it's pretty nice. I mean, it's fancy as fuck. This is way fancier than I would ever have. I mean, this is the kind of tea that you need to be on a tea podcast to crack out. You need like a reason.
Who makes it?
Oh, I don't know. It's Dalesford Organic Farm in Gloucestershire.
Oh, sounds delightful.
What sort of? How many episodes have you in?
You are number. Oh, right. Okay, I'm going to do the intro.
Are you fucking kidding me? With 30 minutes in.
This is all. It's all still staying in. This whole chat is, but like with I can't remember who it was. There was someone the other week. I think it may have been Ignacio Lopez, and I didn't do the intro for that until the end.
Oh, that's all right.
So yeah,
you're
so
a free-willing kind of guy.
Yeah. So with that in mind, hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Comedian's Tea Party with Deaves, with me, Deaves, and this week I have got the wonderful Jon Long.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yeah, it's weird saying hello this far into a conversation, isn't it? But
yeah. Well, no. I mean, I feel like I've only just warmed up. If you wanted to start from now, I'd be more happy with that. I think I've said very little of value or worth.
Yeah, sure.
Have you found this? I've just found like I find it very hard to talk to anyone who isn't my girlfriend or the postman now.
Yeah.
Like I've got it down between those two, and I've kept that going. But anything else turns out it is a muscle, and I keep going to talk to friends, and the first 10 minutes is us both. I keep going halfway through a sentence and going, I don't know where I'm going with that. I've genuinely forgotten how to talk to people.
Yeah. This is the best thing about this podcast. Like you're the first one this year, but everyone takes a break, and I've been working and getting married and that sort of thing. So I've been busy, but like last year, I think this podcast was the only thing that kept me able to hold a conversation with people. And like even now, I struggle with words. Like I'll just forget. I don't think I was verbose per se, but I was.
You were more concise than you are now, is what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
I think we've all got that sort of lockdown waffle.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, I was verbose to begin with, so it was already a problem. Yeah, mate, I feel you. But so this is helping. I feel like by the end of this, I'll be ready to actually record a podcast. By which point it'll be all over. And
it'll be too late. Everyone will have this impression of you.
Yeah, but this isn't. But podcasts are quite ephemeral, right? They come and they go. They don't last forever. I think.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, this it's like Snapchat. I actually put this up. It lasts for a minute and delete it again.
I had a mate who, I say a mate at school. Where I grew up, you didn't really have a choice of mates. Like there were only so many people, so you had to kind of put up with people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like for example, in my
friends of circumstance.
Yeah, there were 12 people in my year at school, in my primary school.
Oh wow.
So we were grouped together in years, and one of the boys, there was only 5 boys. One of them was a guy called Richard Simpson, and he was a real character, famous for being like a Meisner. He was so tight, even as like an 8-year-old. He was like he had the sort of attitude of a 6-year-old Yorkshireman in a little 8-year-old boy in Lincolnshire. And he one time in secondary school, he got really into computing, and he was a bit of a nerdy guy, nice guy, but he was famously very tight, and he wouldn't ever lend anything. And this guy Greg, who was really lovely, said, I'm trying to learn C++, and Richard went, I've got a whole book on that, one of those dummies guide to it. And he went, oh mate, can I borrow that? And Richard went, yeah, of course you can. And we were blown away by this. It was the first time he ever agreed to lend anyone anything in the history of the world.
Yeah.
And he came in the next day with this book. And I mean, C++, I know it's programming language, whatever. The book, even the Dummy's Guide, was the size of 2 goblets of fire, And he gave it to him at the beginning of the day. And we were just like, I can't believe it. We thought he was bullshit. And he's actually done it. And then at the end of the day, we were all walking off. And then he just felt tap on his shoulder. He went, can I have that book back? And he lent it him for the day at school. Like, I meant to learn programming language in your sort of fucking lunch break. I love it.
Incredible.
But there you go. So that's so funny. It's the equivalent, I'm sure, to whatever the fuck you were just talking about.
I can't remember. I don't know where that story came from.
It was.
But I liked it.
It was. I guess the moral of the story. What were we talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
Again, I can't reiterate enough how much I've forgotten how conversation works.
Yeah. I think it was related to that. It's just forgetting how to talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had a point, I swear.
Oh, right. When I'm editing this, I'll go back and I'll obviously hear
the point.
The
point
start.
would have been something about being expected to do a lot in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
What were we talking about that could apply to? Let's work backwards. Let's follow the breadcrumbs. No, don't worry.
I don't know.
Anyway.
No idea. So have you been working during lockdown?
Yeah, I was quite lucky in it. Yeah, I had a part-time job which I've had for 6 years now, and I've managed to keep doing it.
Is that the recycling plant?
Exactly, yeah. So it's with the local council in London, and they have an education team who they hire to go around to schools and do assemblies on waste and recycling and natural resource consumption and stuff. And then we can't do that at the moment because obviously we usually do tours and schools, and so we're doing it all on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
It's been quite good actually because schools are set up for that. They've got all these interactive whiteboards and they're very, it's going to be tricky in lockdown. We're doing some home learning stuff. But yeah, I've been lucky. I know that. So I've been able to keep doing that, which has been good.
Yeah. Is that sort of TIE type things? Like
what's TIE?
Theatre and education.
Oh,
where you're going around doing like plays and.
It isn't quite like that, but I know the kind of I know the kind of thing you mean. I know some people that used to do that. It's not that. No, fuck it. I had a mate who did that once, and it sounded like the worst job in the world. That, hey kids, here's a little play about why bullying's wrong, and then all these fucking kids just looking at you like fuck off. I remember. What was it? Was it League of Gentlemen?
Tell us how wrong it is. We'll kick the shit out of you in the playground.
What was the League of Gentlemen group called?
Oh.
That took the piss out of that. Legs Akimbo, was that him?
Something like that.
It's fucking weird.
Amazing.
I don't do that, no. I just do assembly. I do school tours of a tip, basically.
Do your song?
I don't. I do a song, though, sometimes.
Yeah.
For the little ones, we do a song, but I don't do that one.
For the listeners, that is how I know that John works in a recycling plant, because he has a wonderful song that I've never seen quite so many people get involved in that song, and I've seen it's quite impressive.
It's good sing. I think sing-alongs are underused as a resource.
Yeah, I would have described it as a sing-along a moment ago, but I forgot what they were called. So
again,
yeah, that is what lockdown has done to my brain.
Yeah, what were you grabbing for? It's one of those great communal hum.
The hum with.
Hummer with. It's a good hummer with her, and it's a nice ring to it. No, it's weird actually. I've done it. It's the oldest song I have, but it's one of those ones where it works, and I quite like it. I went for a period of hating it. I keep doing it, but all my friends who have known me a long time fucking hate it now because they just.
Oh really?
Yeah, because they just heard it too many times.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about sort of stand-ups is that even when you're gigging together with someone, like you'll probably gig with that person, you'll probably gig with them like 3 times in the space of about 4 weeks, and then you won't see them for 6 to 18 months.
I know.
So yeah, I still like it.
You've had a breather. Well, when was the time we gigged together? It was a long time ago, probably now.
I think it was Angel.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I remember rightly, there was you, Yuriko Katani, on the night that I feel like she had a TV thing going out.
Ah, okay. Vaguely rings a bell.
And some other people, but yeah.
Ooh.
That was a
Well,
nice
Yuko is
view.
great.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to get her on this actually. That same night I
She loves
asked you
bubble
both to
tea.
come on it. Does she?
Yeah, I remember that being her in Edinburgh. We were doing shows with the same sort of roster thing, so we saw her quite a lot of different events when we were getting everyone ready, and she was always carrying a bubble tea. It's her indulgence, she says. It keeps her going.
I've never had it.
It's quite it's very, I love it because it's super sweet. It's good for me. Super sweet and milky, but it's got them weird. Have you ever had one of those fish oil capsules?
Oh no.
It's like
it sounds awful.
Things that look like them, but they're not fish oil. But that's the consistency of them.
Right.
But you pop them, and they're actually sort of like, I don't know, lychee flavour or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what the hell they are though. It's like chewing a lot of fish eyes. In your mouth.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
It sounds lovely, doesn't it? What a wonderful textual experience.
Yeah, sounds great. I've just realised, by the way, I realised about 10 minutes ago that the lighting in here is obviously almost directly above me. So, like, my neck is really dark. You've got a real weird contrast on my face on that camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's framing your face quite nicely. Yeah. There you go.
Just not as well as I'm doing it there, like I'm in the Vogue video.
I like it. I like it either way. It's a lovely fetching jumper. It looks sort of
Oh, thanks.
It looks like I would find that itchy, but if you could get away with that and you've not got sensitive skin, go for it.
I've got very sensitive skin, but it's not at all itchy.
Well, then you need to tell me where that's from.
Primark.
Wow, you need to go throw yourself in the sea for supporting such a terrible institution. I'm only joking.
Yeah.
I'm only joking. I used to shop there.
Yeah, a lot of my clothes are from Primark, to be fair.
No, me too. That's all we can afford. This is the thing I've been talking about recently, is that like I have to give all these talks about how you try and be ethically consumerism and responsible consumerism and buy out your waste, but you're just priced out of being environmentally conscious or ethical sometimes.
Yeah.
I can tell rich people from Clapham how to do it. I can't do it that myself. Well, you can really with charity shops, but for a lot of people anyway.
Yeah, it is tough. I'll tell you what though, my mother-in-law got me some bamboo socks for Christmas, and they are a revelation.
They're great, aren't they? Bamboo and hemp, I think. All those fast-growing things like that is always really good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, they're super soft.
Yeah, very, very soft. It's weird because, like, you know the IT crowd. Did you watch the IT crowd?
Yes.
Like, you know the episode with the living bra?
No.
Like
I missed an episode. I thought there was only about 10.
Yeah, Moss invents a bra and they take it on Dragon's Den.
I don't remember that one.
And the molecules inside it like keep moving, but they keep moving to the extent it sets on fire.
Okay. Oh no, that is ringing a bell now.
Yeah, but I imagine that the idea behind that is what bamboo socks actually feel like, because there's no friction with them. They're lovely. They just they move with your foot, but like they don't stick. They don't stick in a shoe. They're just sliding. Oh, it's lovely.
You know how a lot of podcasts now are sponsored by people, and they just do sort of placements, and they sneak them into the middle of podcasts. Yeah,
I'm going to stop talking about bamboo socks until someone's.
Is that what you were doing?
No, it's not. But it's a good point.
Just that passionate.
Yeah, I'll write to some bamboo sock companies.
You should, because you're passionate about it. You know, you're doing this all pro bono, and that already sounded pretty convincing. So I think you should be getting paid for it.
I'll cut that bit up and send it to him as a soundbite.
So this is what you could be getting.
Yeah. Just imagine if you would pay me to do it. My word.
Exactly.
Talk about them.
The bamboo socks is great as well because they have an air of cheesecake in that kind of Peter Kay way to them. Do you know what I mean? Like bamboo socks when you give them to your dad, you know, at Christmas.
Yeah.
Bamboo.
Well, that's the thing.
Socks.
A friend of mine was telling me about bamboo boxers, and he was saying like, "Oh, they're incredible."
Pleasing to say.
I remember thinking, wooden socks, like wooden boxers, like what? Bamboo's wood, isn't it?
A clog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember Billy Connolly doing a routine about how his mum used to knit not his mum, sorry, but whoever it was, his grandmother or whoever, knitting him his swimming gear, you know, so his swimming trunks were knitted wool. And I just assumed it was a joke because of the way he told it, and like he was exaggerating, like it was hyperbole. And then I saw a documentary about it. He was like, yeah, and then of course we had our woolen, and then it cut to a picture of him and his brother and sister in these woolen. And I was like, of course, they were all their age at the time, and there's a picture of all these kids in Scotland in the 60s wearing fucking woolen. Oh, it's just fucking nuts.
That's unreal.
I can't imagine a worse material. Because exactly, and they take on water. So he said they're just sort of bagging around. It was, Yeah, it's quite something. So bamboo boxes. Well, actually, now that I've tried bamboo socks, I can imagine are delightful. But you're right. You wouldn't immediately want bamboo anywhere near your genitals, would you? Sharp and pointy. Awful.
No, it sounds unpleasant, but I bet it is delightful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Have you seen Dave, the TV show, like from Dave the Rapper?
No, I've seen it now. I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no. It's worth watching. My mate had told me about it for ages, and he was just like, "Oh, you'd love it," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And people keep saying that about a lot of things, and then I watch it, and I'm like, "It's awful." It was brilliant. It's very, very funny, and it's on iPlayer, so it's worth. You can go check it out. But there's a moment in that where Little Dicky, the rapper, has to take. I think it's like the nephew of some producer that has to take him to a market or something,
right?
And he just gives him like loads of money, and they find these wooden shirts, and like these guys sort of carved these wooden shirts, and they're awful. Like they're just sort of solid wood, and they like walk around wearing that, and that's what I thought bamboo boxes were going to be, just solid sort of
like Pinocchio style pre-transition. Pinocchio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, they blew my mind when I first got mine. But this is the world we live in. Well, because socks is one of those things where I was trying to avoid. I was doing that thing where you avoid buying new clothes for a year and see how easy that is, and it's pretty much it's so easy and possible, except for socks. You just don't. That's not what you want at a charity shop, is it?
No. Slightly better than pants, maybe.
Do you know, I don't even. Yes,
not sure.
Yes, it is ever so slightly, but really only ever so slightly.
Yeah, I did watch the thing Inside the Factory. Have you seen that?
No.
TV show. There's obviously I keep talking about TV shows, but it's been a long lockdown.
Yeah, what else have we been fucking doing?
Watched a lot of TV. There's a series where they go inside like various factories and show how things are made and that sort of thing. And they were making socks. It was in a sock factory, and they were talking about like all the different sort of like microbial socks or whatever it is, like all the like different types of sock that do different things for your feet. So, like, they all make the promises of like this will make your feet stop smelling or whatever. And they said on that your feet produce more bacteria than like anywhere else on your body. But it's just a thing like that they naturally do that, and you need them
just
to.
Gravity? Is that just the
bad
things just gather there?
Yeah,
it's the nearest exit. Well, there you go. But, they're worse than boxes, is what you're saying. To share. To buy secondhand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yet the market for secondhand socks and shoes is huge. I know
for socks, really.
I know someone who they got their way through university that way. There are a bunch of perverts online who will buy ladies' shoes and socks, and the sweatier the better.
Yeah. In that sense, I have heard. Because there's in Japan.
She was my girlfriend's sister was a BA flight attendant, and she had these shoes which she'd been wearing, and they'd been her work shoes for absolutely ages, and she was going to throw them out, but she decided her mate pointed out to her, these have got visible sweat stains. You could get a fortune for these. And she put a picture of them, and they just look like they've been worn for thousands of hours on your feet. And this person was like, they got the bidding war happened. Jesus. So if you want to make a bit of money on the side, I'm sure it's pretty easy to fake that. A few tea bag stains on some shoes from Primark, you could make a fortune.
Yeah. Well, they've got vending machines for it in Japan, haven't they? For used panties.
Oh my god!
I recoil saying the word panties in general, but they've got vending machines for them in Japan. Like they just buy them and sniff them and. Ugh.
I suppose you ideally want vending machines for items you're too embarrassed to buy from a teller or so it makes sense. But you know when you like your bag of crisps get caught and you have to and you have to go and complain to the guy.
Yeah.
You're not going to fucking bother, are you, with that?
Hey mate, I put my pound in this machine and these shit stained knickers are stuck. Oh, God.
What service do you call this?
I just made myself feel sick.
It's awful. You see what they have in this country with vending machines. I noticed they threw up in like Clapham Junction and things were all these flowers, and there's 24-hour flowers on the go. And and it was marketed, and I was trying to work out how they were marketed. Why? And I was like, why do you need 24-hour flowers? And I realised it's for people who are coming home, last train home, that didn't tell their husband or wife that they were going out.
Yeah.
Or they said, I'm going out for 1 after work, and they're coming home at 11. And they thought, fucking hell. This all, sort of apology flowers. So that's we're apologetic and fuck ups, and they're perverts. You can tell a lot from vending machine people.
Yeah. Right, now I've got a couple of tea emergency questions in a sort of homage to Richard Herring's emergency questions.
Are you allowed to just blatantly rip it off like that?
Well,
I feel like you can. It's close.
As Matthew Crosby pointed out to me, like he hasn't got he doesn't have the monopoly on questions. Like, you're allowed to ask questions.
That's true, actually.
And he also said to, because I phrased it and started sort of basically excusing myself for stealing, and he was like, "No, just call it an homage and it's fine, or just don't bring it up at all." So I probably shouldn't have brought it up, really. But
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah. It's a tried and tested interviewing technique, the old questions, isn't it? So why fuck with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got tea emergency questions because obviously tea, so it's relevant. Now, some of these are based on tea, some of them are not.
Okay.
But regardless, they're questions that I ask and I like them. Now, I've already asked your favourite tea, that was Tetley's. Now, do you like Dunkin' biscuits?
Yes. Big fan.
What's your go-to biscuit?
Hobnob. Ideally a milk chocolate one, but
milk chocolate.
Yeah. But I'll take anything.
I've got a cupboard where I always have at least 2 packets of milk chocolate hobnobs.
Just so good.
Or Asda's own.
Yeah, I'll take that.
They're the same.
If it's oaty and it's got chocolate on it, yes. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, nice.
Also, have you ever tried those biscuits? I lived with some Australians once, and they had a care package from one of their family, all their things from home they missed, and one of them was these biscuits. I can't remember what they were called now. Tim Tams, I think.
Oh yeah.
And they're a bit like a penguin, I guess, but there's a bit more chocolate in between. And the thing you do with a Tim Tam is you bite off adjacent corners to it, right? If you can imagine such a thing. So there's a hole at either corner, opposite corner to each other, and you use it kind of like a straw to suck the tea through, and the tea goes through it, immediately melts the middle, and then you've got about 5 seconds to eat it before it disintegrates, and it is the most glorious experience in the world.
Well, Brennan Reese told me about that very thing, not with Tim Tams. He said about doing it with penguins, and I had in my fridge at that moment, I had some mint penguins, and I was drinking a mint tea, so he was like, just do it. So I did it live on a podcast, bit off each corner of the penguin, and then he said, yeah, now just put it in your mouth and it will crumble. And it did. It just turned to like liquid in my mouth. It was absolutely incredible and tasted delicious.
There you go.
So
I didn't need to explain it to you. You've already done it live on this show.
No, but listeners that didn't listen to Brennan's episode now know.
Yeah, so, they've had an update. Yeah. It's an homage to Brennan's story.
Yeah. You didn't steal it. It's
it was with love.
Yeah, much like my tea emergency questions.
I prefer these to the emergency ones anyway. This is good.
Oh, nice. Well, you say that they're about to take a weird turn, much in the same way.
Have you ever tried to suck someone's own tea bag?
No. Right, now, during a podcast the other week, one of my guests told me a story about how he was getting a taxi ride from a taxi driver, obviously, and the taxi driver was telling my friend about how he was a healer, like a spiritual sort of thing, and his way of proving that was that he told him he could produce smoke from his fingers, and like my friend, he didn't believe it, and then when he got to my friend's house, he turned to him and just sort of pulled a face, strained, held his hand out, smoke came out of his fingers.
Right.
Yeah, which led me to ask the question, right? Because obviously that's going to lead to ask a few questions, but that did lead me to ask the question: if you had to evaporate, what part of you would you want to evaporate first?
Good question. I guess the head. I mean, when you say evaporate, do you mean so that it's just sort of can't be seen, but are you going invisible, or are you just integrating into nothing?
Up to you.
Right. If I was going invisible, I'd say head first.
So now, when you say invisible, do you mean like just disappearing, or like evaporating into the air? Because that is what I'm referring to, like full-on evaporation. But you will be invisible, obviously, because you'll be a gas. You'll have evaporated. Yeah.
I guess then I want the head to go, so my sentience goes. I don't have to feel what I can imagine is the excruciating pain of your body turning.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's haunting. It's a thought.
I think it was Matthew Crosby who said he wanted to go feet first, and then I said it would look like it's melting into the ground.
Yeah, feet first would be the most dramatic, aesthetically the best looking.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I'd selfishly go for the most painless option at that stage.
Yeah, that's fair.
Crosby's a showman to the end, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. What insect freaks you out the most, and is it because it has so many legs?
Probably it has to do with the movement, I think, more than it has to do with the amount of legs. It's how they move.
Yeah.
And weirdly, it's ones that are big enough that you can see how they're moving. So actually,
Yes.
the really little ones I can write off as, put that out
they
of my
look
mind.
like a solid little. Yeah.
So I guess it's stuff like cockroaches that freak me out a little bit, and things like that. I'm not too fussed about spiders. I'm sort of spider ambivalent, really.
Yeah. Plus, they're not insects; they're arachnids.
Oh, of course they're not insects. What is insects then? 6 legs? No.
No. No, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what the definition is. Maybe. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But
spiders are not insects,
flies are insects, for instance, but then so are caterpillars and.
But flies is that because flies have 6 legs though?
Don't know. I don't know. You're asking questions that I don't have the answer to. Relevant
answer
questions
the question.
as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll go. Well, would cockroach count?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure that's an insect.
That's my least favourite, I think.
Yeah. Now I should point out the second part of that question does allude to millipedes, because I just assume that everyone is most freaked out by millipedes.
No, I don't mind that.
They just move so weird.
They do.
Their legs are terrifying.
But I feel like they're not suddenly going to jet out and get me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Okay.
Right. That's not the computer that time. Alexa, turn living room lights on. It's just freaked out. And just turn the lights off. What the fuck? Alexa, turn living room lights on. There we go.
Okay. Did I say something that sounded like Alexa, turn lights on?
No. Well, plus you'll come through my headphones, so it's unlikely.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's weird. Yeah.
Oh,
That was very bizarre.
That was odd, yeah. I thought you were just having a power cut there. I realised it's the 1990s, but there you go. No. I think, I'm slightly nostalgic for power cuts, but then I feel like they're going to come back in a big way as the apocalypse draws on.
They're on their way back, yeah.
Yeah, big way. And there's going to be a lot of Gen Zers going, what? And I'm going to go, relax. I've got some candles in the cupboard and I'm prepared for this. It's been a long time.
Well, that's the thing. I can't remember when the last time I had a proper power cut was, but all I do remember is that I didn't have a torch on my phone to get out of that sort of awkward situation.
Yeah, exactly. Back then, we were fucked, weren't we? Well, we had a wind-up torch, which seemed like the height of superfast technology.
Yeah.
So we'd light some candles, and my dad would be there going, like an old crank. But my dad's first car as a child, is how old he is. He had a crank.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, sorry, were you born in the?
Is your dad Victorian?
No, exactly. An old fucking Volvo with a wooden sides that had a crank the other side. Yeah, the old
amazing.
The past, but yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I've got one more question to ask you. It's a brand new one.
Yes,
and this was born of a dream that I had the other day, because it was I can't remember what happened in the dream, but all I know is at about 3 a.m. I googled, what is the coldest that Julie Walters has ever been?
What is the coldest that Julie Walters has ever been?
Yeah, which is a weird question to Google at 3 a.m. Also, I couldn't find the answer. But my question to you is, what is the weirdest question you've ever had to ask as a result of a dream?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm glad you've said that, because while it was coming out of my mouth, I thought, that's weird.
Well, I don't remember my dreams as much as I used to. But what's an appropriate? Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last dream. I don't know the last question. But interestingly, I do speak in my sleep.
Oh, do you?
And sometimes I ask and say things that because I can't remember my dreams now. I don't know what they're ever about. But so my girlfriend often asks me random questions, like,
oh, okay,
off the back
like
of
while
what
you're
I've
sleeping.
Said. Yeah, like, because I just say just such random shit to her. The other day she just said she woke up and I was on the corner of the bed just shaking her awake. And she said, "What?" And then you went, "Yeah, you're right." And then I just sat there and went, "Oh, yeah," and mumbled something to her, and then went thumbs up, and then went back to bed. So I just will do stuff like that occasionally. So occasionally she wakes up in the morning and goes, "Right, what was the thing about the monkeys?" And I've got no fucking clue. But apparently I told her about some sort of monkey convention I was going to, and yeah, they never make sense and never particularly revealing. It's always sort of nonsense
Incredible.
words. It always sounds like I'm having a dream set in a sort of shooting stars universe. It's always really silly and like it sounds like fucking Vic and Bob dreams.
Sounds like fun.
It's either fun or like terrifying.
Yeah.
Depending on the aesthetic. But yeah, no, I haven't got a good question to that, I'm afraid.
No, that's perfect. I like that as an answer. I'm going to find a way to ask that more succinctly, but that was very good. I like that.
No, I like it.
Have you been working on anything during lockdown, sort of, creativity-wise?
I've been trying. I'm not so good at. I mean, it's good you've got this, isn't it? And like, I like to have a project that you can do regardless of where you are and that kind of thing. I've sort of been watching what people do on Twitch and the people that are good at that. And one of my friends is very good at that, and sort of trying to work out what to do on it. But in lieu of, I haven't got an idea yet. So in the meantime, all I've been doing is just posting songs every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Just like Instagram and stuff like that. So just that's kind of what I've been doing to tick over. And I've also been writing. I've been writing a script as well for something that was just keeping me busy.
Like sitcom script or
it's not a sitcom. It's a radio show. It's kind of like a magazine show.
Oh, lovely.
That's all about environmental issues, but sort of comedy, but also just a sort of like I said, magazine show. So kind of trying to be like a bit of like an infinite monkey cage is to physics, science and things like that. It's kind of a bit like that for environmental stuff. So every episode would be a different topic. This is in theory. It's not been commissioned. Nice. It's got pilot, but not a series.
It's still cool.
Yeah, exactly. Which keeps being postponed because of fucking lockdown. But
can that be heard anywhere?
Not yet. No, it's in production still, and it keeps getting postponed. It was meant to be out in the end of February, and that's pushed to like April now. So because of lockdown, so that won't be out until April, May, something like that, or maybe even later. But it's keeping me busy. Stuff like that. What about yourself? You've been writing because you've not been doing the online gigs. Have you been doing other sort of scripts?
Yeah, I've written a couple of sitcom scripts.
Oh, nice.
Nothing of which has happened with those yet, but I'm trying to find the right people to send them out to. But the issues that I found with that is sort of a lot of the production companies and sort of anyone that I've basically been going through and sort of looking for any like sitcoms that I like, and then looking for the production company that made those, and then sort of finding the agents that work for those production companies and trying to contact them. And most of them say, "Don't contact me."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because if you'd have done that story in the 90s, that would have been the story of your success when there was like 10 screenwriters doing everything. That's probably how Arthur Matthews and Graham Linehan did it, isn't it? They just wrote a random letter into the production company they saw at the end of Not the Line of Cotton News, and they were like, "Oh, really? Good scripts, come to London." And they put them up in a house, and this is like when Talkback just started. And like now you just think the first question would be, how many followers do you have on whatever it would be. It's exactly that, because the competition is just so high, so it's very hard to stand out now. I guess the best way is these competitions. There's a lot of those, isn't there?
Yeah. I'm actually, funnily enough, I'm friends to some extent with a comedy producer.
Oh, perfect.
Like TV comedy producer. And like I didn't realise sort of where he was on the sort of what echelon in the comedy production world. And Stuart Lee, during like one of his tour shows, like I watched it on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And, fucking hell, I'm real whore for I'm watching everything. During his show, he started talking about Colin Dench, the producer, and I was like, I know him. Like, I played music with that guy, and so it turns out he's done like all of Stuart Lee's stuff, like every TV series, including like Comedy Vehicle, Alternative Comedy Experience, like all those, and he's done his like tour DVDs and loads of other people, and he used to be Ross Noble's tour manager, and so he's
because you're in Southend, right?
Yeah,
that's where, because he recorded his last one in Southend, didn't he? At that really nice theatre.
He did, yeah. I used to work at that theatre actually.
It was gorgeous looking. I'd never been there. I think I was due to play it and it got cancelled. It's doing a tour support for Chris McCausland.
Oh, great!
And it was my first time playing in Southend, and I was like, oh, I know people in Southend. I know you, and then my mate just moved out there.
Oh, who's that?
My mate Mark, he's a guy from back home in Lincolnshire,
okay.
who I grew up with, who I used to do when I first started doing comedy, he was like before I ever did stand up, me and him were both obsessed, and we did a podcast together which was like a little sketch show, and it was totally just for us, but we took it so seriously. Like we gave ourselves a deadline, we had to do one episode a month. It had about 6 listeners, but we took it so seriously. And it was like a half hour, like we were writing it as though it was a Radio 4 sitcom that we'd been commissioned to write scripts and everything, rehearsals. And we did that for ages. And then I said, I'm going to go try and see a stand-up. And he's sort of thinking about it, but didn't really want to. But he was the funnier of the two, but didn't have the motivation. It's often the way, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. My wife is much funnier than I am, but she couldn't get on stage. She's not confident enough. So, which is funny because I have always, in sort of all elements of my life, been not confident enough. But I suppose through doing stand-up, I'm actually quite confident now. So
it's really good for that. Yeah, I think it's not about being confident or not, is it? It's about wanting it enough. Because I hated, even though I was in bands occasionally and things, I really didn't like the idea of speaking in front of people. So I didn't like, and I hated whenever you did presentations at school or it was your turn to read out the book when English class or whatever. I fucking hated that. So it is weird that I did it, but I think if you just want it enough, because I know some people who, like you said, are very shy, and you think, how did you ever take that first step?
Yeah.
But it's good for that because you can make it work as well, because that's your whole character. I don't know how much it is now, but I remember when you first started, you really played into the sort of. I remember you rearranging everyone because of rearranging the audience because of your OCD and things. And,
it's still quite similar.
You've got to play up to it's a funny, it's a good comedy angle.
Yeah,
nervousness or anxiety.
Yeah. It works for me. Well, I did a podcast with Stuart Goldsmith, and I can't remember if it was in the record or afterwards, but he just said, "You're really good at being awkward," and I was like, yes. I think a lot of people would sort of take offence to that, and I was just like, oh, thank you very much, that's really kind.
That's good. Yeah, because I'm just sort of awkward without the without trying, and it's actually there's something to be said for making a skill out of it and making it work for you.
Yeah.
Like I was going to say Woody Allen then, but can you even quote people that are bastards? You know, are bastards?
It's tough, isn't it? Because that's the issue. Woody Allen's stand-up.
That was what I was going to talk about. And I was really not talking about him as much as the fact that when he first went on stage, he was really awful. It took a while before it worked, and it's about being confident even when you're being, awkward on stage. You've got to sort of almost be awkward confidently, and it's quite.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
But that's exactly that stand up. Can we keep that? Yes. I don't even like the films that much, but I love that CD.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, it's brilliant, that CD. It really, I think I started listening to that before I got into stand-up as well. No, is that right? I can't remember. It was around a similar time anyway.
Yeah.
Well, no, it would have been just after, actually. Just after I started. Yeah.
Well, it was the same with when you mentioned earlier, you mentioned an IT Crowd episode, and I thought I hadn't seen. Now, I love the IT Crowd, and I was like, I'll have to watch. And I was sort of annoyed. I was like, I didn't watch that one, and now I can't go back because of all the hate crimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, not the hate crimes, but, hate speech.
It's horrible. It's so tough because, Daniel Radcliffe put a statement out saying the films still mean what they meant to you before. Like, they're still as important and as relevant, so sort of ignore the message. And he was much more eloquent than I was, but
that's it. There's got to be some nuance around it, because regardless of what you think about her views on certain things, she did create a magical world that helped a massive amount of children learn to read and discover the magic of fiction and all that stuff. And it's interesting because even with its flaws, it's brilliant. And that's the thing. There are loads of flaws to it, and there are loads of and it never even occurred to me until sort of someone discussed it on Twitter about how Cho Chang, I saw what the Chinese person pointed out, that's not a name in China. That's the equivalent of just going ting tong. It's just it's just almost racist synonymish, just sounds. And it's like it wouldn't have even taken that long to just say what's a common Chinese name, and you just think that's true. The one Asian character just gave her a Chinese sounding name.
Yeah.
Yet in China it is, in spite of that, and I wonder if they change it or not, but in spite of that, it's huge everywhere, including China. So even with its flaws, there's something magical at the heart of it.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So you've got to be able to strip that away and keep some of it, because it's
Well, that's the thing about art as well, of any variety. is people always say that art is, like it's subjective and its meaning is always subjective. And even if the artist thinks it means a particular thing, if it evokes a particular, like thought process or emotion or anything in you, that is what that piece of art means to you. So we should be able to view it sort of separately from the creator, because their opinion of it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's what some artists struggle with. The best artists are the ones who let you do that, and don't try and put. I hate when you go to an art gallery and they've got like an essay next to it telling you why it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, if it can't get me without the essay, mate, it's not worth it. Show don't tell sort of thing. So yes, art is public domain. That is it. You're right.
Yeah. So good. We can still like Woody Allen.
You've got to be able to. Like, I know a comedian. Do you know that guy who is a very funny comedian, a good friend of mine, Aaron Simmons?
Yeah.
Really funny comedian, and he was obsessed with Harry Potter. And he used to listen to it every night as the audiobooks.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, and he stopped doing that during that time, and that was interesting to me, and I can see why he did it. But I was thinking, if it's such a precious part of you,
if it means that much to you,
it's all right. People still listen to Wagner, and he was a cunt, famously.
Was it?
Yeah, so many. Well, just so many were. I think there's a whole podcast that's off the back of that, isn't there? What's that podcast that's like that Russell, one of the Russells does?
Evil Genius.
Yes, it's a great podcast.
Yeah, Russell Kane. Yeah,
it's really good, but that's never going to run out of potential episodes. The idea being that they find someone who, from history, turns out is actually a dickhead, and it's endless.
Because there will always be arseholes.
Yeah, well, I think more in the past as well, when we used to let people get away with it a bit more. But yeah.
And in some scenarios, particular character traits were encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely. We all sort of romanticised as well the difficult divas and this kind of thing. And it's interesting. It was interesting just because it came up on. Do you watch Gogglebox?
No.
Okay, I thoroughly recommend it as a way of keeping your tab on the zeitgeist of TV.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch any mainstream TV, but you can watch Gogglebox and know exactly what's going on in mainstream TV. It's very good.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And it's a good way to keep up with, everyone. Stop talking, John. Got it right. Okay. And so I just had a series of mini strokes, and you did nothing about that. Okay.
I could do very little.
Yeah. You could.
I've dialed the ambulance.
Alexa, pipe on. I can't even remember what I was fucking talking about now. What was I talking about? I genuinely
Gogglebox.
Gogglebox. Yes, they covered in it an episode of an old cooking show. Fanny Craddock making Christmas pudding.
Right.
Fanny Craddock, I was only aware of through the saying, "Oh, what do you think you are, Fanny Craddock?" So I didn't actually know who it was. And it turns out it was like a precursor to Nigella and Delia. It was the original. Here's how you be a good housewife and cook kind of lady on TV in the 60s. And she was a frightening looking woman. She had no eyebrows, and she'd drawn them on, and she'd way too much makeup, and was very aggressive with her assistant. And I was thinking, this woman was famous. How did this woman become like? And I looked her up, and it's fucking nuts. And because I vaguely remember a story about her son and her getting, she was this sort of housewife, but behind closed doors was this terrible mother whose flat was apparently filthy, and her son was like beaten and left in there. And then she would go on TV and teach people how to be the perfect whatever. And apparently it's a totally open secret. I was like, how did everyone being nice just wasn't an option? It seemed back then. Every single person you hear about, even the ones who are famously nice, are just bastards from the sort of 80s precursor to before pre-internet. Could do what the fuck you liked.
Yeah. You get caught out for it now. That's
what I like. Yeah, and it's the good side of cancel culture is that at least
there certainly is a good side, because there's a hell of a lot of arguments at the minute saying like, oh, it shouldn't exist. But it really should though, because especially with, and again, this is I've got to go to the toilet in a minute, so I don't want to go on for too long, but I keep seeing people say, because the story at the moment is Trump has been banned from social media and that sort of thing, and everyone's saying, oh, but what about free speech? He should be allowed free speech. And the point is that he should be stopped from inciting violence, from telling his followers, go and fight these people.
Yeah,
because you've got the right to say that, but people have got the right to say, I don't want you to say that on my platform. I think it's perfectly okay, to be honest. And if you're going to be because they're not just someone that said, "Oh, I met a black guy the other day and he wasn't very nice." Like people are going, "Oh, you can't say that anymore." Well, of course you can.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant that he was black, but you can say it, and like you're not going to get kicked off of social media for that. You are going to get kicked off of social media for asking millions of people to to become violent.
And it's not like he hasn't had a warning here or there from Twitter
Yeah.
as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he's had
Yeah.
plenty of chances. And like you said, it's a private company, right? It's a private platform. It's not a God-given right that everyone should be given a Twitter account. And that's
This is the thing about like when you see someone like I'm sure you and I have both got friends on Facebook who are occasionally a bit mad, but we like them, so we keep them around. That sort of situation.
A few of those.
And I see them, and they'll say, like it's dangerous, the situation that we're put in, and I'm like, just don't be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Surely that's
it's not hard,
the point, isn't it? Like, just don't hate people for the sake of for no reason, because there are people sort of kicking off about various people, and it's okay because they are terrible people, and it's widely agreed that they are terrible people. We shouldn't be bullying people, obviously, but it's a minefield and it's a difficult subject, but stop being an asshole.
It's definitely it's a part of human nature to do the old lynch mob pile-on where you get a mob together and sort of thing, and anyone from seemingly from any side of society can be swept along in that, left, right, or whatever. Everyone loves a good moral outrage. Let's get together and attack someone. So I think it is bad when it becomes that situation where people end up, losing their jobs and quitting, committing suicide, all that sort of thing. But like you said, it's so seldom that it's like totally mistaken identity, which can happen. But what I feel for is the people that just get caught up in total rumor mill. Like there's not many. I think it will hopefully become a thing of the past as Trump goes, or as we start cracking down on things like the QAnon stuff. But I really felt for all these celebrities that got accused of like paedophilia because of the Pizzagate scandal. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were like people like Chrissy Teigen, who I don't really know her, but as far as I'm aware, she's a pretty, inoffensive TV presenter who is a sidekick on a show called Lip Sync Battle or something.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why she came in for it, but just without any claims or whatever, she just got all of this abuse, and these people, all of her officials, you effing paedophile, you did because of no evidence, because of just someone had put together a flimsy bit of photoshopping to say, look, she talks about pizza, and that's what more evidence do you need? And ruin this poor woman's life, accusing her of the worst thing possible. And so that can happen. It's interesting what's going on at the moment with Armie Hammer. Did you see that?
No, I didn't know.
So do you know who that is?
I've heard the name.
He's the guy who was the Winklevoss twins in the Social Network film, the Facebook film.
Right, okay.
And he's been in a few other things. He's an American actor who's from an oil tycoon family, I think it is. And so it's a very rich background, and he's known for being a bit of a knob and a bit hateable. But as far as I'm aware, that's where it ends. But there's these DMs that have come up. Someone screenshotted DMs of him saying the most outrageous things, like I want to F you this way, and I want to hold your heart in my hands. I think I'm a cannibal, and just like really bizarre stuff. And people are like writing him off, and then other people are going, this isn't real. You know that, right? This is just someone's put this together. And other people are going, well, it is real. And it's because we're in the position, we're in the moment now where we don't know.
Yeah.
My guess would be it's probably fake, because I can't imagine someone with his profile being stupid enough to, even if they were a cannibal, admit it on a DM to someone. But let's say it is real. We just don't know yet. But in this point, people's Twitter tweets are all really funny at the moment, because all of their tweets are like, I don't care if it's real or not. It's fucked up, and I don't like the guy. And we've all been that person where sometimes you just get swept up in the emotion of hating someone because you're like, are we hating him? Yeah, fuck it. And it can really aid that. But for the most part, when the dust settles and we get to the heart of it, cancel culture, if used correctly, is a necessity, given how easy it is to become famous now when you're a twat, it seems.
Yeah. I just remembered why I started bringing it up about social media, because quite often those people will be blocked by someone else, and they'll go and do a status, and they'll be like, oh, I was just saying so and so, and I was telling facts about lizards running the country, and they went and blocked me. Like, oh, it's my free speech. I've got free speech. I should be allowed to say it. And it goes back to the quote that I just like to think back on all the time, is you have got every right to say whatever you want, you don't have the right to make us hear it.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it succinctly, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Shout it into the void as much as you want, but we've got the right not to listen. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a really good point. Are you desperate for a wee, matey?
Sorry, I was actually scratching, but I'm not far off of that particular scenario. Sorry, that got so deep at the end. I think it's a lovely bit of conversation, though.
Well, I do worry with these podcasts that I'm so beholden to what mood I was in at the time, and
yeah,
I just finished work and a sort of series of tedious email exchanges, and then getting this, and I'm worried that this is basically ranting at you about bullshit rather than being entertaining.
Well, let it be known, regardless of what has happened during this last hour and a half, Jon Long is a lovely man.
Don't judge him.
You're actually one of the first people that I met through comedy.
Is it really? Yes, that's true. Yeah, we met very early days, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you're one of the few people who's still going who remembers me pre-quitting drinking.
Yeah, because one of your I loved a joke that you used to do when you were talking about like how you like a little drink and then you pull out a tiny bottle of wine.
Yeah, a little Jack Daniel's miniature or something. Yeah.
Yeah, which was a lovely little prop-based joke. But
have a little drink. Yeah. Can't do that now, of course. Well, I suppose they have those little mini stubby Heineken 0.0s. I could do that.
Yeah. You did the reverse Jesus as well.
That was it. You see, because that was all true. As I was living in flat shares, and as an alcoholic, when you run out of booze in the middle of the night, you just go and steal it off your mates when you're too drunk to do anything. To think of any logical way to get out of it. So you just think, just fill it up with water. Don't worry. There's no consequences when you're that drunk.
Yeah.
But I do remember that genuinely came about because there was a party where they all broke out. They said, let's make some cocktails. And one by one they were like, there's no fucking alcohol here. It's like a prop,
that's funny.
like a prop cocktail cupboard.
That is funny. But I loved your comedy then. I love it even more now.
Oh, you're very sweet, matey. Yours has consistently just stayed as good as it was and got better.
Yeah, I'd like to hope that I have improved.
Yes, of course you have, matey. We all have got to have a bad wee back then. But you were always good, but I was very
thank you very much.
All over the place back then. Very dependent on how many drinks I'd had.
Yeah.
But there you go. I do remember quite towards the end where I just I remember one time sat next to you at a gig and filling up a Coke I'd just bought with like a bottle of gin from my pocket, and you being like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
You want to slow down a bit?
I remember that. That was at Dirty Dicks actually.
Yeah,
aforementioned.
Because you're like, you're already quite drunk, John. Yeah, but there you go.
There you go. Hey, you've sorted yourself out. You got yourself
6 years sober, mate. That's how long we've known each other.
That's incredible. Yeah.
So it must have been about 7 years we've known each other.
Yes. Well, I'm going to have been doing comedy 7 years in March.
Yes. Mine's just gone 7 years, I think, or something. Yeah. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So pretty much from the start.
I know. God.
Yeah.
I don't know when the next time we'll fucking get to gig with you, but hopefully soon.
No. Yes. Yeah, hopefully.
I'll be coming out to Southend because my mate, as I said, from back home has just bought a house there.
Oh, yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a weekend in the seaside as soon as I'm feasibly allowed to. So I'll mention it when I do.
Let me know and I'll
go for a tea in person.
Bring your tea. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll drink a tea at a village fete.
Yeah, I know just the tea for it, actually. Is that a callback?
Absolutely, that's a perfect callback. Well done. Yeah, really redeemed yourself on that shocker from earlier.
When do you start?
Oh shit, I've not started yet. Hello and welcome to
Crosby.
Yeah. What are your social media channels where people can follow you?
It is all at Jon Long Stand Up, and John is spelt Jon.
Yes.
I'm awkward. But Jon Long Stand Up, and that's mainly on Instagram, but a bit of Facebook and Twitter as well.
Yeah,
but it's all under
that. You've got a good presence on Instagram.
Not just that I've got the best presence there, really. I think I've got more on Twitter, but I just prefer Instagram in terms of there seems to be less of a toxic environment that I can see. Or
I like it.
It's better at blocking those people out anyway. I've not seen them as
Much. I would say it's harder to just randomly post awful opinions. On
I'm sure that'll change a little because Twitter used to be a beautiful place full of positivity. Maybe it's just the nostalgic feeling and it's giving me rose tinted glasses. But it certainly felt like there was a less arsehole.
Rose tinted glasses to go with your rose tinted tea.
Perfect. Look at that, full circle.
Man, I should be getting paid by Wittards.
You definitely should, in more than just tea.
Yeah, love also.
Yeah, that'll pay your mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely. Jon Long, it's been an absolute pleasure. I am going to have to go to the toilet.
Do it, mate. We've been drinking lots of tea.
Yes.
For a long time.
But, this has been so nice because it's been ages since I've seen you.
And I know, it's been too long. I hope
like
I get
I
to
say,
see you soon.
Oh, do you know what? Bringing up early days of comedy, of course.
Yes.
You, very early on, and I talk about it all the time, had one of my favourite bits of audience banter, if you can call it that. Do you remember that gig in Edinburgh that was it was Peter Baisley sitting by a bench crying?
Yes, I do.
And it was a whole improvised thing. And a woman turned up with an owl on her shoulder. And you said something along the lines of, it's the first time I've ever done a gig to an owl. And the owl turned around and you said, I can't remember what it was now, but it was like, it was beautiful and it's so beautifully worded. It's just.
Oh, mate, I don't remember. I didn't remember. I've totally forgotten that. That's the kind of thing you should remember, that time when an owl turned up to a gig. But I think you might have been drinking at the time, so I don't remember much of that Edinburgh, if I'm being honest.
Thinking about it, I think you may have said something like, no, don't turn around, it's you.
Don't look around, look at me. I do vaguely remember going, don't look at them for help, look at me or something. I can't remember what it was now either, but I do vaguely remember something about a 360 neck joke in there. But, God, that's an interesting gig. What an odd scenario that was. Crying by a bench, of course, didn't he?
Yes.
Every day on a different bench. So he was deliberately trying to make a gig that was the hardest to market ever. So he would never specify which bench it was, and the bench moved every day.
Yeah. And at one point, Stuart Lee and Bridget Christie were watching.
They stopped, and Stuart Lee's kids wanted to watch Marwan Rizwan, who was on.
Yeah.
Who is now, big star.
Yeah, Taskmaster famous.
Taskmaster fame, Jonathan Ross show fame. He was there, and they stopped, and he did a bit with them. And afterwards, he was like, that was so funny when those kids stopped by. And I was like, did you see who their mum was? I went, no, I didn't look up at them. I was like, that was Bridget Christie. I was like, fuck, I love her.
Oh, man.
Oh, I miss those days.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That was my 17th gig.
Gosh, was it really? Yes, I remember that Edinburgh being You Would Not Long Started. That was fun.
Yeah.
What I can remember of it. It was fucking hectic, though. That took a toll on me, that Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I never drank much in my life.
You, Hugo Mallard, and the late great Richard.
Yeah. How sad was that news?
Richard. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yes. What was his? He was Harry U. Eldritch, but his real name was Richard Hurley, but he made an anagram of his name, Richard U. Eldritch. And he was an incredibly sweet, lovely man who would do a very aggressive, acerbic.
Oh, it's so aggressive. It used to scare the life out of me.
Best dressed comedian ever, though. But what was really interesting was we would both go out. We would all go flyering together. It was a triple bill, and Hugo was a character act, and he was dressed in a kind of barber jacket, and his character was a aristocracy kind of guy, and so he was dressed in these clothes, and all these old ladies loved the way he was dressed. So they would come over and go, oh, "Hello, dear. What's this show for?" And he would get so many flyers to them and get them in. So our audience, he would go on first, and they would love him. His Jeeves Worcester style character. And then I had to introduce Harry to them, and he would end his set by going, "Do you want a knob gag? Do you? Do you want a knob gag? I'll give you a knob." And then throwing this sort of dildo cum ball cock gag thing that you put in your mouth at them, a really aggressive prop gag. And I remember one time him hitting an old lady in the head with it, and just thinking, "What am I doing? It's 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm watching a diabetic, aggressive gay man throw dildos at pensioners." But I mean, that's what comedy is.
Yeah. And if there's ever a better story to end a podcast on.
I know. May rest in peace. What a man, eh?
Yeah. What a lovely guy. What a shame.
It was, but he was. I tell you what, he fit a lot in. So he did. He did a lot with it. So yeah. Good man. All right, fella.
Good man. Right. It's lovely to see you, mate. And
really
I'll see you soon. We'll do this again in person when we're allowed.
Oh, absolutely. That would be great, mate. And I will. You can give me some branded mugs or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Some Banfield socks.
Like this guy.
Oh, shit. Well, fucking around. I was talking hypothetically, but you were ahead of me. Lovely.
Oh, yeah. No, my wife bought me those.
Oh, she's a winner, that blank.
Absolutely.
I won't say her name. But tell Mrs. Deaves I said hi.
I will, yeah. She's just come downstairs.
Actually, don't. Never met.
Jon Long says hi.
Oh, shit.
She said hello.
Hello. She can't hear me. You've got headphones in.
No. But yes, but I've got to go to the toilet.
Go wee, for heaven's sake.
Yes,
Stop
I will.
me hold you up. All right, matey. Good
thanks
to see
so much
you,
for coming on, man. Yeah, thanks, mate. See you soon. We're waving to each other for the listeners.
We'll wave.
See you later, mate.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Jon Long, a really lovely guy. I'm sure you will all agree. Very glad to be friends with him, and I hope I get to see him soon. Don't forget to go and check him out on social media. It's Jon Long Stand Up. That is just Jon Long Stand Up. Go and search for him anywhere, but particularly, as he points out, Instagram is good on there. Go and check me out. Just at Side Eaves. Side Eaves anywhere. SideEaves.com, all of that malarkey. Although I'm updating the website in a minute, so it's still old and needs updating. As I said at the start, in regards to donations, don't feel like you have to, but if you can, I'd really appreciate it because it takes up a lot of my time and it would be nice to have some level of remuneration. But absolutely no pressure. You don't have to, but if you want to, if you can, if you think I've got too much money, send some my way because you can help me buy gifts for my beautiful wife, who is the most generous woman I've ever known, and I'd like to be able to pay her back. So help me buy her gifts and send me your cash. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop us a 5-star review, all that sort of thing. You can find us on anywhere. Well, you found the episode, so you know where to get it. But yeah, just head on over to iTunes or go and follow us at Tea Party Pod. That is the words to Tea Party Pod on all of the social medias. Just go and find us. You'll find us. Facebook.com/teapartypod, Twitter.com teapartypod. It's all Tea Party Pod. You'll find us. Thanks very much for listening. It's been really, really lovely. Please feel free to get in touch because I love hearing from you. It's really nice, and especially one congratulations from you because I got married, and that's good. So anyway, until the next time I see you, I won't see you, will I? Really? Because this is an audio medium. But I'll hear. Well, I won't even hear you. You'll hear me until the next time you hear me. Keep drinking tea. Be good to each other. Stay indoors. Save lives. NHS. Face space. I don't know. Be good. I love you. Bye.